I wish they could just make a 15-second timer. I'm just like bobbing my head. I'm like, when is this going to count down even faster? Brittany, thank you so much for hopping on. It's a great pleasure, to meet and connect with you. How are you doing today, and where are you calling from?
Doing very well. It's nice to be here. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Awesome. We were just talking offline, and I lived very close to Pittsburgh during my medical school days, right in Weirton, West Virginia for like a year, give or take. So a lot of snow, a lot of, snow, slush and all that. And whenever we needed to escape, we would go down to Pittsburgh, and I think it's called the South Side, right? There's like
Yeah.
where all the fun begins, right?
If you're in college, that's your name you're familiar with.
Yeah. I don't know anything else beyond that. So anyway, we are here to talk about the Ultimate Vegan Health and Weight Loss, bundle. It is February 12th, and is actually the last day, only less than like 12 hours, before this bundle wraps up. But before we talk, more about that, in case this is the first time you're hearing, one of the great things about this bundle is meeting new people in this collaboration. So since we're new to each other, why don't we go through introductions of who you are, what you do, and why you've been so motivated and inspired, to live and breathe this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, my name is Brittany. I run a channel and website called The Jaroudi Family. And, I always tell people, as I'm just a normal person like everyone else, I stumbled upon a plant-based lifestyle about 6 years ago. And really, it was having a lot of health issues being really young. Around that time, I was around 24, 25 years old. And I just, had issues with blood pressure was high. It was getting marked high every time I went to my physician. Had borderline cholesterol issues, starting to talk about statins. And then, being a newlywed back then, my husband had us take a blood test for his insurance, and I had a C-reactive protein test come back flagged at 16. Besides the point, I was already morbidly obese. I'm very short in real life. I'm only about 4'11". So I had a lot of extra weight on me and just didn't feel well. And then had a lot of family history things, that I wanted to avoid, like cancer and heart disease. So I got lucky. I say it's the biggest blessing of my life, was flipping through Netflix and finding Forks Over Knives, and watched it. And it literally was like them speaking to me. And I put it into practice that same evening, and haven't looked back since. And my life is completely different than 6 years ago. It's changed everything. I'm not on any blood pressure medicine now. My blood pressure is perfect. I don't have high cholesterol. My C-reactive protein came down to normal, and I feel great. And it also improved like my mental health a ton, which I think is so interesting with the inflammation. I know we don't really talk about like mental health a whole bunch, but I had OCD and depression really bad too at the start of it, and it completely like helped that immensely. That's just another part of my story I haven't really like dived too deeply into online, but it's been life-changing.
Yeah. Well, number one, thank you so much for sharing that. I know it can be not easy to just open up, especially to a total stranger and that stranger's audience, right? But thank you for sharing, being vulnerable, and then just being an example. I think we were just talking offline how chronic disease, especially that are lifestyle related, it's attributable for the top 7 out of 10 killers of America. Heart disease and cancer being the number 1 and number 2, and it plays into everything. And what's unfortunate to watch, being a physician, is just the younger generation getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And so this is one of the main reasons why we do what we do. And I thank you for just kind of taking that inward look into yourself, into your family tree, and then making a switch and having a light bulb of saying like, no, I don't want this to continue, with my generation. Because a lot of people feel like, oh, it's like medical destiny. It's like, oh, my family has this in their genes and their family has this gene. So that means like, I'm just going to, get it. And there's nothing I can do about it. Right. I mean, what do
Yeah.
you think of that?
I mean, I tell people if that's the case, then I am so screwed because, my mom had cancer like 3 different times in her life. She had bone cancer and breast cancer actually twice. And, she passed from it before the age of 56. So very young. And my dad also has had tons of heart issues, triple bypasses, defibrillators, strokes, diabetes, you name it, he's got it too. And so when I look at my genetics, it's not a great outcome to look at my parents per se, and grandparents and aunts and uncles and things like that. And so like, I just can't accept that. I want to do everything in my power to make that not my story. That literally was the ticket for me, was what can I do about it? So, I'm really cognizant of eating whole food, plant-based, oil free, making sure avoiding alcohol, making sure I exercise, sleep well, and doing everything that like the lifestyle medicine physicians like yourself promote. So I'm really hopeful for my future. It looks a lot less scary now than before I started.
Well, definitely. And, me and my other lifestyle medicine colleagues are supporting and cheerleading you guys on. There's so many things to talk about with this. Yeah, it's just, I think one of the best things about lifestyle changes, there's a great emerging field called epigenetics, and it's essentially turning on and off the expression of genes. So what that means is that there's certain genes that we come with, and there's a great analogy by one of the lifestyle medicine pioneers that says your genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. And so depending on what you eat, don't eat, move, how you socially connect, the quality of your relationships, hydration, sleep, whether you've intaked or abuse toxic substances, will greatly determine and impact that outcome. So Brittany is such a wonderful example of that, and being able to change it for herself. And I'm sure that felt like really empowering, right?
Definitely. Like I tell people all the time, like, bad stuff happens. People that are still whole food, plant-based, things still happen, but it gave me so much power into looking at what my future looks like ahead of time, and really makes me kind of excited to grow older and to see what's lies ahead, because I can tell you I feel completely different from the way I felt before doing this. And in my blood work and everything, I can just, you could notice such a change by doing this.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the C-reactive protein is an inflammatory marker, but it is a very general marker. I highly recommend that you consult with your primary care physician, before, going a deep dive or like a rabbit hole.
Right.
It's good to have a healthcare professional. So for those of you who don't know me in Brittany's audience, my name is Dr. Colin Zhu. I'm a physician by trade. I've been trained in family practice, and I specialize in lifestyle medicine and culinary medicine. And my story is I love helping people thrive. And when I went to school in West Virginia, and we were talking about this offline, at the time, my school didn't equip me enough with the education and diet, lifestyle, and nutrition. And everything that walked through my door, whether it's a low back pain or cough, always had some sort of lifestyle related risk factor attached to it. And so I took it upon myself to make a lot of detours. I went to culinary school, after medical school, got my certification in health coaching. And from there, I decided that I really wanted to educate and teach. And so, part of this bundle is being able to further do that. Brittany, can you tell us what you do for your audience? You have an amazing YouTube channel, and some of the stuff that you've been making is like awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I make recipes that, we loved before being whole food, plant-based. I feel like tradition is such a important part for me. It's like remembrance. We have family dishes that definitely aren't whole food plant-based, and I wanted to figure out ways to enjoy them. So my channel was really made out of that, was to, change ingredients to make things healthier. So I share that. And the goal is to also, to do this long term. It's not a diet per se, it's a lifestyle. So when I got into this, it wasn't just a change for a couple months. It was what my future was going to look like. So yeah, that really was the inspiration for starting it.
Awesome. Awesome. And what kind of a feedback has your audience given you so far?
I love when people tell me that their spouse is on a standard American diet and they made a dish for them and they loved it. And it was a great way of incorporating it and introducing them to this lifestyle, or, they made it for their kids or grandkids.
Yeah.
So really positive. And I think people are appreciative that they can still have things that remind them, like, for the Super Bowl today, they could make, a spinach artichoke dip. That's still very, very, very healthy and health promoting versus, the one they might have picked up at the supermarket before.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What I like to say to people is that, your health starts back in the kitchen, because everything, what goes into your food. Whereas when you outsource your food, anything outside of your household, you're really, surrender or at the wits of everyone else that are not paying attention to your health. They're more, paying attention to their bottom line. And so they're going to cut corners and use all kinds of processing techniques and refined oils and different, just stuff that essentially just increases our chronic inflammatory burden, which is kind of one of the foundational pillars of manifesting so many these diseases. Let's talk about the bundle a little bit. Brittany, what is this bundle? Why is there a countdown less than 12 hours of this? And what's all the fuss about?
Yeah, so a bundle is when a lot of contributors, and I love this bundle because it's oil free. I feel like Chef AJ really curated, who she asked to be in it. And so it's people that are like-minded, that are submitting their courses and ebooks. And even I know like the NHA put in their whole conference for people to buy for one small price. And then after the date it's over, everyone just goes back to, their own thing, and it would be a lot more. So I know it's $49 and you get like over $6,000 worth of content. So I think it's just a great gift to yourself or someone else to start trying this, because you really get such a great introduction to so many people in the plant-based world. And I know for me, I would have loved to have this 6 years ago when I was just starting.
I was about to say, imagine having this, in
Right?
your arsenal, right? I would have loved to seen your reaction after watching, Forks Over Knives, that day, because,
Yeah.
I've heard many reactions, with that documentary, with others. And it's it's a beautiful thing to see that light bulb, click on. And then, from there, make the change. Some people are very slow to change because they just don't want to change their lifestyle. What would you say are the biggest top 3 like hurdles that you find, with your audience in terms of making that switch or transition?
Yeah, I think it's being at home with people that maybe aren't supportive or aren't interested. So that mix of having availability of those foods you were used to eating, or having to like cook multiple meals for people. Is definitely one of them. And the other one would be socializing outside of your home, in different, every time there's a holiday like Thanksgiving or Christmas, I always hear people struggle with how to approach that if you're going to someone else's house or if you're having family over. So those are big things that I think prevent people maybe from, really diving in. That I
Yeah.
think I think it gets easier the longer you do it.
Yeah.
And to be gracious with yourself, because it is, most of us aren't, necessarily online. It's a beautiful community, and there's lots of people that are doing this and support. But when everyone goes back to their own homes, sometimes it can be very lonely that maybe you're the only one in your community or circle
Yeah.
doing this day to day.
Yeah, for sure. What I find as a physician is a lot of patients would say, I just don't have enough time.
Mm.
How can I prepare this for myself and or my family? Because like you said, not all of their family members are on board, right? And at times it could be very alienating. It's kind of like someone coming to us and wanting to quit smoking, and then their circle of friends all still smoke. So what is the likelihood of you quitting smoking? And so I say to that is constantly remind yourself of why you do this. It's really about the why, right? And it's important to have that positive mindset. You were talking about mental health before. What we do here, I'm also the founder of TheChefDoc 6 years ago, and we talk about enhancing emotional resilience and wellness. And it's never been a better time to be able to reaffirm that physical health is as the same, if not, mental and emotional health are all equal, if not, more so important. And so just because you can't see it, it's intangible, doesn't mean that, it's not important to address. And so, having that positive mindset, is really important. And at the end of it is really about behavior changes. Brittany, what is it that you're contributing to the bundle?
Yeah, so I got asked a ton specifically about what I did to lose my weight. And then I got asked questions, when we make more things for the holidays, people would ask, is this weight loss friendly or if not? And so I put everything in an ebook. This is my second one. So it's 30 really simple breakfast, lunch, dinners, snacks, and desserts that I still use to this day and love even after losing my weight. But it just makes it easy, accessible. Nothing's complicated. So that's what I put in this time. And it's been really, I love seeing people use these easy recipes because they are still like so good, even though they're simple, and people can incorporate them if you already lost weight or if you're looking to lose weight as well.
May I ask how much weight you lost?
Yeah, about 70 pounds. So kind
All
of a
right.
different, pictures before and after are really kind of, people ask me like, is that the same person? 100%, yes, it is.
How do you feel with that, like the energy, from that shift?
Oh my gosh, so much lighter. I think for me, it was just like an ease of movement. We used to, where we lived before, we had a hill in our neighborhood. I would like kind of make excuses. I would make excuses. Trying not to make it too obvious to my husband, like, well, maybe we can go a different way. And for me, it's just like, it was that day when I could like walk up that hill, not making it a big deal, and just feeling great. So that was really important. And I was also having like chest pain too, and that went away. So just feeling so much better in my body, I think for me was the biggest.
That's awesome. For what I'm contributing a 1 hour audio course for those that are curious about going whole food plant-based, but not knowing where to start. And so in the course, we talk about how to stock your pantry, your fridge, your freezer, how to navigate a supermarket, and your basic, go-to in terms of kitchen utensils and appliances. That's the first contribution. The second contribution is my 21-day challenge, based off of my book, Thrive Medicine. Thrive Medicine is a book that I written and published in 2017. And it's half memoir, half self-empowerment. And so, like we talked about mental health, and I think the positives of the pandemic has really brought mental health to, more to the surface and awareness. And so it's important to have a really good positive mindset to attack anything in life. You could have a great ship, but if your captain is not in the right mind, you can easily, just steer yourself off course. And so the book really gives us a lot of practical, actionable steps. And so I've recorded a 21-day challenge in terms of it's a video companion that companions the audiobook version. And both of those two programs live on my new app, which got launched 2 weeks ago. So,
Congratulations.
oh, thank you. But there's so many amazing contributors to this bundle, and the value is amazing. It is a one-time fee. It's not reoccurring, and every year is different, and it's going to end 11:59 Pacific today. So, Brittany, it's such a pleasure talking to you. I'm really glad that we were able to connect. Do you have any parting words for our audience listeners today?
I would say just look at the bundle. You can click on the link and just see everything that's involved. I know last year when I was in this, that a lot of people emailed me the next following day and or even months later asking if they could still get it. And it's unfortunately it's one time and that's it. So I would just tell people, if you're interested, go down and see what's all there. I heard from everyone that they've been loving it, and for me looking at it too, I feel so lucky that since I was in the bundle, I get it too, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of great, valuable things for
Yeah.
myself, who's been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's important because, we consider ourselves eternal learners,
Mhm.
and it's always fun, to learn from each other. And we're also, creators at the end of the day. So, Brittany, thank you so much for connecting. It's such a blast and pleasure to connect with you. And yeah, I tell everyone, getting into the bundle is not the hardest part. The hardest part is really implementing what you have in front of you. And there's a ton of options. So definitely take your time. It would definitely take more than a year just to kind of finish everything. But yeah, definitely feel free to give us a holler or a message. And until then, Brittany, thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was nice chatting with you.
Same here, guys. And we'll